All right. So, any idea how long Stephan and Jen have been in a relationship?
7 years.
7 years.
7 to 8 years, somewhere there.
Okay. And was it constant throughout those 7 and 8 years, or on and off, or?
They were friends first, close friends first, and then it evolved into a romantic relationship. I think probably the first 18 months was just friendship, and then it changed from there. And no, we did not like the relationship.
Why not?
Didn't approve of it.
No.
Why
She was
is
a
that?
bad influence on it because of her
Drugs.
drugs plus I think she was taking medications for depression, anxiety, what have you, and I just didn't feel that she was going to be a good influence for him.
She's bipolar. She's bisexual. She's a drug addict. She had a young child. The family was disapproving, and she was sharing those drugs with Stephan. And I don't approve of vaping. We don't do any drugs. We don't even drink. I can't even take specified medication for pain because my body rejects them, and I get really, really sick from them. So, I mean, went through open heart surgery on Tylenol.
Wow.
So it's
And they were both
nice. She's nice.
they slept all the time.
Yeah.
And you know, we had a hard enough time dealing with Stephan sleeping all the time, and now he's got a relationship with somebody else that does it as well. It's like they were feeding off of each other, and none of it in a positive way.
You know, probably it's not a good idea, Mike, for two mentally ill people to be going out with each other that have the same sort of habits. All they do is sleep, you know, and they're taking antidepressants, and they're just spending most of their time. What do depressed people do a lot of the time? They sleep, right?
Right.
Is that because they're trying to sleep away their life because they're so unhappy? But again, here's his parents saying, "Oh, we didn't approve of it because she was mentally ill." Well, but you know something, so is your son. And you know the old expression, "Birds of a feather flock together," you know, is true in this case. So, look, I can understand why they don't want their 37-year-old son hanging out. He's living in a condo, which really is like a flop house when you think about it. Out of the 4 bedrooms, 3 of them were occupied by tenants, you know. And how do you live like that in a condo? I'm surprised the condo complex allowed that anyway. People that aren't related to each other living in that type of situation.
Yeah, Bill, the parents are sitting there looking at their son, who's pretty much like a turtle on its back, helpless. The guy can't tie his shoes. And then here, you know, he was friends with Jen, and then it becomes a romantic relationship. And they're looking at this, and they see Maddie, you know, poor Maddie, and they're looking at Steph, and he's probably going to regress. He's probably not going to make any advances, if he possibly could make any, to maybe get his life on track. He's got her, he's got Jen, and she's having her challenges because she's taking medication. And I'm sure maybe one after effect of the medication is that it makes you sleepy. But on the other hand, maybe she, you know, the medication isn't being, her treatment isn't being watched carefully by another doctor, to make sure that she's taking the right amount, changing dosage, things like that. But I could understand as a parent, you know, you're always concerned about your child and the effect that the people they hang out with have on your child. And then to throw this poor Maddie into the mix and have these two people being in charge of Maddie, I'm sure his parents were looking at that saying, you know, this, you know, it's, oh yeah, he likes her. He likes Jen. Maybe that's a little bit of a positive influence for him, you know, for Steph. But on the other hand, they're looking at the way Jennifer's living her life. And they're saying, this isn't going to work out good for my son. It's not going to help. And I could understand, you know, as a parent, you want to be protective and a little bit disapproving of someone who they've bonded with, who's really not raising them up, really helping them out, really kind of just making it more difficult for the son to try to get his life on track.
100%. Let's go back to the conversation right now.
That's why I disapprove of a lot of Stephan's
That's the only thing,
people.
yeah, only thing her mother and I approved of together was the fact that we didn't approve of the relationship, because if Jen started spiraling down one of her holes of depression, she took Stephan with him.
Mm-hmm.
If he was depressed, he brought her in. And it was just always like a balancing act with those two. This is not good. It's not a good dynamic.
You know, when you said they were always sleeping like constantly,